Elul is a month-long holiday, or Hol month, that marks the end of one Jewish year and helps to transition into the beginning of a new one. Traditionally, it is a month of introspection, contemplation, and personal growth. Untraditionally, or at least less traditionally, Elul Unbound is a digital initiative offering up a wide variety of avenues for experimenting over the course of this month. Sign up to join Elul Unbound's email list and learn more about all of Elul Unbound's offerings by heading to judaismunbound.com/ELUL. This is a special bonus edition of Judaism Unbound. Elul Unbound number 15. Elul should be spicy. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Lex Rofberg.
And I'm Wendy Bernstein-Lash.
Elul is back, everyone. Elul, the 12th month of the Jewish year, the last one before the new year, is back, and that means Elul Unbound is back, everybody's favorite Judaism Unbound initiative to mark the exit from one year and the entry into another year. I'm excited. Wendy, are you excited?
I am very excited.
That's fantastic. I know our listeners are excited because you've been chomping at the bit. You've been waiting for 11 months to have the chance to do Elul Unbound once again. I know it's the highlight of your year. Even if it's not, that's okay. It will be soon. We're jazzed. And before we get too far into this, I want to say what Elul is and what Elul Unbound is, because there's no reason that everybody should necessarily know that. Elul, like I mentioned, is the final month of the Jewish year, but it's not just the final month sequentially. It's also kind of, it's got this air of preparation and introspection for the new year, for Rosh Hashanah, and for the whole high holiday season, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, etc. And it's this chance, really every day of the month traditionally, to look inward, think about what you want to shift about yourself for the coming year, think about how you want to play a role in shifting your community and the world in the coming year. It's all of those things, and we really like it. So that's a little bit of what Elul is generally. Wendy, what is Elul Unbound?
Well, 5 years ago, we decided to do this experiment, which obviously is going well because we're on our 5th year, of inviting people on a journey for Elul that, as you said, is both personal and communal, to give practices to connect, to find community. So we have live gatherings. This was before people really knew what Zoom was. We were musing about how we had to teach people about Zoom 5 years ago, and now everybody lives in it. We provide a nice buffet of things that you can do so that people can say, oh, this is resonating with me, or that's not, and I would like to talk about this. I'd like to hear about this. I'd like to try something new on. And so Elul Unbound is this continuing experiment of what's showing up that we could do to make it, using a Lex term and a friend of mine term, spicy, make it interesting.
Yes, we were talking before we started airing about how spicy Judaism should be in our perfect world. So Elul Unbound is, in fact, very spicy. That is going to end up coming back soon because spices happen to be tied to a particular Jewish ritual called Havdalah that we're going to be mentioning later. Spoiler alert, not sorry about it. But before we go there, just to really distill, Elul Unbound is a chance for you out there to get little reminders regularly to do the introspection work that you might be hoping to do, but we all get busy in the world. So getting an email a few times a week is a way to help with that. So we send out emails if you sign up for them, which you can do on our website, judaismunbound.com/Elul. You can click the emails button and sign up. And we have mini podcasts like this one that help you engage with the month. We have Zoom gatherings on Fridays that you can come together with other people. We have all those things that Wendy mentioned, and I'm just reiterating them so they really sink in. Okay, now, a little bit of a frame for what this particular piece of Elul Unbound, this podcast, is. We want to talk about, this year, time and space, which is to say everything. Everything falls into either time or space in the grand scheme, but we are using that framework because we have two main ideas for what this particular Elul might be. And one of them relates to its place in the flow of Jewish time. So we've been talking all year about the Shemitah year. this entire Jewish year has been a chance to sort of radically recalibrate, reset society. The Shemitah year is concluding, but what we want to make sure doesn't happen is that we forget about Shemitah forever, or at least 6 years, and then it comes back and surprises us. So what we're thinking of this Elul as being is, we've talked about it in the past as an on-ramp into the new year, but we're actually thinking about it as both an on-ramp and an off-ramp. So that's a bridge, basically. So if you're getting onto some road that takes you off of one body of land and onto another at the same time, an off-ramp and an on-ramp, that's a bridge across, water. That's what we want this Elul to be, is a chance to sort of depart gracefully from the Shemitah year, give it a nice farewell, thank it for all it meant to us and all that we were able to learn and grow through Shemitah, and to think about what the next 6 years will look like. Because with all of our guests this year, what we kept on hearing was Shemitah is not really 1 year. It's sort of a 7-year cycle that has a special year every 7, but really thinking about what it looks like the other 6, how we shift who we are the other 6 to make a year of rest possible for the land in the 7th is important.
Yeah, I was just thinking about how we are traveling in one direction, like in a car, and we do think about it as an off-ramp, but it really is the on-ramp to the next place that we're going. And how baked into Judaism are these on-ramp, off-ramps, and, that the holiness of the threshold, that you transition from being a child to being an adult. And so you're not stopping your journey, you're starting a different journey, and how important it is to recognize that we're leaving behind something, but we're starting something new, and to start it with intention. 7 years ago, maybe many of us were like, what's this Shemitah thing? I never grew up with it. And I think I learned about it first from Judaism Unbound, and starting to think about it. Okay, now we're going to think about the next one. And let's not wait for year 7, because that's how it was actually designed, so that you have all this time to prepare for the year of change, and how we need that. Change doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah, it doesn't. And in 7 years, when the next Shemitah year comes around, or I guess 6 years and 1 month, when the next Shemitah year comes around, we will be in a place to sort of actualize its values better. We'll be able to actually create the situation where debts are fully released, where land is fully given its rest. If you don't prep for that, then it's not actually possible to make it real. And so that's what the next 6 years are hopefully going to be.
What would it be like if we created a Shemitah fund, put some money into it every week, every paycheck, every month, or whatever, so that when 7 years comes around, we have this money that's set aside to support people getting out of debt or doing whatever it is that we want to do with it?
Yes. I really strongly encourage those who are able to do that to do that. We're also going to be continually talking about different sort of strategies that we can take on in our own lives to make Shemitah in 7 years more possible. We're not going to do it as frequently as we had Shemitah-related episodes during the Shemitah year. We do really believe in sort of a differentiation between the year of release and the other years. I don't want it to sound like we're just saying every year needs to be Shemitah-focused. But in that spirit of finding ways to engage the full Shemitah cycle and engage with the difference between when it's a Shemitah year and when it's not, we have an idea. And the idea, I spoiler alerted before, is Havdalah. So for folks who are familiar with Havdalah, they would probably describe it as a Hebrew word meaning separation or differentiation, something like that. But the separation it describes, or the separation it creates, is through ritual, the separation between Shabbat and the rest of the week. So on Saturday night, when Shabbat is closing, you do a ritual called Havdalah. And I sometimes, when I'm working with kids, say that you say a series of magic spells. That's actually kind of what happens. You say a series of magic spells. There's 4 of them. They're very sensory. There's fire involved. There's spices involved. And then you as a person are able to transform Shabbat into not Shabbat. It's incredible. And I say you're able to do it because even like technically, if you look at some Jewish texts, if you don't say Havdalah, if you don't say the blessings by some folks' opinions, then Shabbat just sort of keeps going. It can keep going all the way until as late as Tuesday morning. So it's our words, it's our utterances and our blessings and our magic spells that actually transform time. That's really Judaism Unboundish, the idea that we are able to transform Jewish reality or reality generally. And what we want to think about for the month of Elul is how maybe Elul at the end of Shemitah can be parallel to Havdalah at the end of Shabbat. Maybe we can actually do a ritual that would be a Shemitah Havdalah, not a Shabbat Havdalah, where through a series of blessings or magic spells, we transform Shemitah, the year of release, into non-Shemitah. And so we don't actually know exactly what those magic spells are going to be yet. We do know that we're going to have an actual event. It's going to be, as of now, we're planning it to be the final Saturday night of Elul before the new year, which is September 24th. We're going to transform Shemitah into non-Shemitah and have some kavanot, have some intentions about what that might mean. And it should be fun. But why are we doing this Havdalah thing?
Well, I do love ritual. I've always loved ritual. And Judaism is filled with lots of ritual, and we're creating new, wonderful ritual. Ritual just allows us to see physically, to embody, to mark what is happening and to be intentional about it and to be more present. To do Havdalah for the end of the Shemitah year, the beginning of the next Shemitah cycle, to create, I love that. I want to create some magic spells for this, to create some magic and to verbalize that. We're embodying and saying, okay, I'm moving myself. I'm not just going to do it unintentionally. I'm going to move myself with intention from one space to another. I'm going to cross that bridge. I'm going to go off that ramp and on to my next journey.
You use that space word. You just did the best ever segue of all time, because we are going to close out this little mini bonus episode of Judaism Unbound. But as a teaser for the next one, in 1 week, next Sunday, that's the first day of Elul. As we release this, Elul has not started yet. We wanted to give you a chance to be like, oh yeah, it's coming up. Like,
I'm getting ready.
Yeah. So we wanted to release this episode a week before Elul. So that gives you a chance to sign up for Elul Unbound on our website, which you once again can do at judaismunbound.com/ELUL. But our next mini episode is going to hone in on that word space. So at a number of moments in our history of Judaism Unbound Elul episodes, which you can find a full playlist of them on our Elul page of the website, we've talked about time. Elul as a kind of sanctuary in time. We've talked about how that ties to the idea of Shabbat as a sanctuary in time. Really cool stuff. Sometimes I think that Jews believe that because of Shabbat, Judaism's a religion that revolves around time and not space, as opposed to space. And I'm not so sure about that. I think that carving out relationships to space in a meaningful way can be a really beautiful thing to do in this Elul. And we also think that it might tie to some of these frameworks of time and Havdalah that we just spoke about. So we hope that you will join the journey, come onto the on-ramp, off-ramp bridge that is Elul. I know we're throwing in so many road metaphors, but come onto the bridge between Shemitah and non-Shemitah that is this month. And you can do that by heading to our website and signing up. And we hope that you'll tell your friends to do it, that you'll come to our Zoom gatherings. There's information about all of this on our website. We're looking forward to diving in with you.
And there's one more little juicy component if you have not been involved in Elul Unbound in the past, or you didn't take advantage of it, is I am a Jewish spiritual director, and I have a bunch of colleagues that are Jewish spiritual directors. And what we do is we help people look at and reflect on and process what's going on in their lives. And my colleagues and I are offering free spiritual direction sessions to people to try it out. So if that's of interest to you, there's a sign-up form for that. And I'll be doing the matching, putting people with wonderful spiritual directors.
We're also going to be notifying folks. There's some really cool Elul initiatives that other organizations are doing. Really, really great stuff out there. It's very exciting how much Elul has grown in the last few years. Even since we launched Elul Unbound 5 years ago, I feel like around the digital Jewish ecosystem, there's just so much more to engage with. So don't just come to our stuff, see what other organizations are doing as well, and we'll link you to some of them.
Flowers.
Like a bouquet of wonderful flowers. We went from spices to flowers. This episode smells great. Smells so good. So we're going to close out. If you have any ideas for what the Shemitah Havdalah event could look like, for what our Zoom gatherings could look like, all of that is open to listener input, really, really deeply open to listener input. So you can email us at elul, E-L-U-L, at judaismunbound.com. That will go to both my and Wendy's inbox. This becomes only more powerful when there's a wide variety of people contributing. So thank you so much. And with that, this has been Judaism Unbound.